Like, I want to meet this lady. I want to talk to her. What inspired you to become a counselor and to start writing the blog?
So I decided to become a counselor, unfortunately, because my mother died of an overdose. And that was kind of the pivotal moment for me to really learn more about why. The question for me was why, and that's been my question my whole life. Why this over me? Why that over me? Why choose this life? And so that kind of, once she passed away, I was left with so much like, why did this happen? And my curious mind wanted to know why. And so then I decided to go to school. I decided to get certified and also get my degree to find out why. And it really was that simple. I just wanted to know why. Then my husband is the one that actually encouraged me to do the blog because the why is still there, not necessarily for my parents, but now for my clients. Right? It's figuring out the why because I feel like if I as a clinician understand the why, then we can work from there. Most of us know that most substance abuse is preceded by trauma, right? And a lot of times people aren't even aware of the trauma. I'm sure you weren't and I weren't aware that the things we were going through were traumatic, right? I talk about the SWAT team coming in. You know, what word is that? We don't know that word is trauma, but I want to know why. And I want to be able to help them figure out the why. So then we can get to the root of the problem. Society says, well, you're just using drugs, just stop. Just stop. And if it was that easy, we wouldn't have a job. But it's kind of getting to the root of the problem. Why does somebody use for 40 years, loses everything, loses every relationship, lose their home, lose their job over this substance, right? And when we trace back, we learn that it's could have been something that happened in their childhood that was never resolved. It could have been some trauma they experienced in a relationship, right? So trying to figure out that why has always been my drive for getting into the field. And then, like I said, kind of working through being accountable led me to want to do the blog with the encouragement of my husband. But I was like, okay, I really feel like now I have a better understanding of why I was the way that I was, why I felt the way that I felt, right? Because before getting into the field, it was just superficial. Parents are supposed to be parents. Relationships are supposed to be, like flourishing, good. Like, what is this substance that is preventing my parents from being parents? Right. And it's just like I said, the whys were so loud in my head that I needed to find out why. Even if I'm not going to get the answer clearly from my mother, unfortunately, because she's passed away, I can have a sense of understanding as to why her life was the way it was. And that's why I write about it. From my perspective, right? I'm pretty sure if my parents read my blog, which my dad is alive, I haven't told him about the blog. So we're going to work through that. But they will have their whys too,
Mhm.
And so I'm exploring that right now, the whys.
How has your understanding changed prior to becoming a clinician to now? I know that there's still whys, there's still questions, but how has your understanding of
Mhm.
addiction changed?
Well, I would say that there's this word choice that a lot of people have, right? Especially people that do not have an understanding of substance abuse. Choice, right?